Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, theys and thems, and everything in between, to the Esoteric Wellness Podcast,
where we explore health and wellness from the deep, dark depths of the unknown, the hidden, the misunderstood, the misinterpreted, the misled, and the forgotten.
I am Megan.
And I'm Kyle.
Welcome back. We've been on hiatus for a little bit.
I'm going to blame that on you.
I've been very busy.
Miss, I want to do politics.
Listen,
it is election season, so
it is very, very busy. I'm trying to run a campaign and work a full-time job and lead a life. God help me. So it has been very busy, and yeah, he will blame every bit of it on me. So
I had to lock you in here this evening so we can get this one done. So What are we on? Episode 5 now.
This is 5.
I've got an exciting topic, I think. It's very interesting to me anyway.
Yes.
We're going to talk all about meditation today.
I was a bit of a guinea pig in this one.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh, you had to meditate. So bad. So terrible.
Listen, I don't sit still well and quiet anyway.
Maybe you need to be doing it then, huh?
Probably. So.
Well, I thought we'd do something a little different this time around, and we'd just start off by bringing up some random news stories. Just what's happening currently out there in the wellness world.
I think this could be a fun little segment that we could do. Yeah, each time kind of find something weird that's going on. So yeah, we found some little fun snippets of things that we could share with everybody of what's going on out there. So you found a couple. I found one that I find extra fun. So you want to share what you got there?
Yeah, let's jump into it. So the first one I found, and this goes right in line with a lot of what we talked about, especially in the first episode. And looking at, there was a study done that, so there's a 20-member dietary guidelines advisory committee out there. And this is a group responsible for creating a lot of the governmental dietary guidelines out there that, a lot of programs are forced to follow. So it really sets the tone for, the dietary guidelines out there.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah. And as you probably guessed or have noticed or seen, a lot of those guidelines aren't necessarily accurate or
remember the good old food pyramid back in the day,
based on real factual science. And this is kind of highlighting one of the main reasons why that is. So it looked at, like I said, 20 members, and it found that 9 of those 20 members have significant conflicts of interest with either food, pharmaceutical, or weight loss companies or industry groups, with obviously a stake in the outcome of the guidelines. So thinking about that for a minute.
Wow, that doesn't show any kind of favoritism, does it?
Right. These people are in charge of creating dietary policy, or not policy, but guidelines that lead to policy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they have a very real stake in the outcome of that, where they stand to make some of them very large amounts of money.
So you basically have a board, and these are the people that you're looking to
Mm-hmm.
make informed decisions on these things, and yet they are, say, stakeholders or owners of companies who own certain foods or own shareholders of certain companies.
So companies on the list, ones like Weight Watchers, Eli Lilly, the National Dairy Council, Novo Nordisk, Abbott. So those last two are kind of large conglomerate groups of a lot of different food.
Oh, like a Unilever or something like that.
That would contain a lot of brands you recognize.
Sure. Sorry, I'm smacking my microphone trying to take a drink. So
rookie.
If there's any, shut up. We're only on 5.
But yeah, this just highlights one of the major problems, and especially the politics involved in all of this.
Well, didn't we discuss, and this is where we have a problem when we record, because I don't know what we have discussed and recorded versus what psychotic ramblings we have discussed just on our own time. Didn't you and I, and we may have discussed what, when they did, oh golly, what was it? When they made the new version of the food pyramid and they're like, oh, they did kind of like a, where they ranked certain
That was
foods,
the food compass.
where they did, yeah, the food compass, where they put like,
That's not official yet, but there's a lot of lobbying groups trying to
yeah.
get that.
So they have like
pushed.
processed cereal is supposed to be much higher than like, fresh meats and certain things like that. Like, how in the hell is that? Like, these people clearly have.
That's the very much manipulated scientific studies, supposedly, I'm doing air quotes,
Yeah, I say you should see his hands. Totally.
that this group would use to push certain dietary guidelines.
Yeah, it's like, come on,
It's
people.
all rigged from the beginning.
Use your damn brains. Ugh.
So yeah, that one I found was interesting. There's another very similar one that caught my attention as well, looking at diet.
What was that from? That first one, by the way? Can you cite where that was from?
I read it from US Right to Know.
Okay.
.org.
Just that people want to look them up. And
yeah, it was also reported in several of the major
I'm
news
sure if you
sources
Google
out there.
any of that,
Yeah.
you can find.
The title of the report was Full Disclosure Assessing Conflicts of Interest, the 2025 Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee. And then the second article I had is called Your Favorite TikTok Dietitian Might Be Paid Off by Big Food.
Yeah.
So I'm not on TikTok. I know you are. You spend probably too much time on it.
I have a love-hate with TikTok. I will go weeks without being on TikTok. And then my sister will send me like a cat video. And then next thing I know, I've spent like 3 hours on TikTok. So it's like I go a long time without it. And then I'm in the hole. TikTok can be very helpful, I think. And then it can also be, you just have to, I think my algorithm's fine. I have a lot of animal videos.
Yeah, you're probably not watching any of the videos we're talking about here.
I have some helpful things.
Do you?
I have some helpful things.
Yeah, but apparently there's a lot of dietitians, nutritionists out there on TikTok nowadays.
I do follow some healthy things. Okay. I did find my magnesium and vitamin D thing on there. If you're taking magnesium, and that is a big thing nowadays, you may have to make sure you're doing it with vitamin D or the absorption is not there. That's a big thing, that people are taking their magnesium and it's not with vitamin D.
Is there scientific research to support that, or are people just saying that?
No, it is. Like it's one of those.
Have you read it?
Yes, I looked into it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm just asking because people can say whatever they want.
No, and that's part of what I'm talking about. I was looking into it, and I guess apparently your magnesium. It's like, you know how like you have to take certain things to absorb it. Like your body doesn't do it.
It's complicated.
Yes, exactly. And so I was looking into it, and people are on this whole magnesium trip, but they're making it and selling it, but they're not putting it with the right stuff. And you have to have it with vitamin D for your body to really get into it. And that's another thing. See, that's the thing. We're getting off topic. Never mind.
On a tangent there.
I do that. You wanted me to be on here with you.
Anyway, they found that a large number of these dietitians are being paid off by the food industry to shape viewers' eating habits. So one of the major topics they looked at specifically was the topic of aspartame. And there's a lot of TikTok influencers out there saying that aspartame is safe, that it's, you shouldn't worry about it at all, right?
Don't we know that that's bad though?
Aspartame is a common sugar substitute. It's a sweetener.
Yeah.
And it's actually a carcinogen.
Yeah. And doesn't it cause like migraines in a lot of people? And
there's a lot of
or is that a whole
negative attention on it? I don't know how much of it's actually factual.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And it's hard to say. I know in large amounts it's a carcinogenic chemical. It's very dangerous.
Let's just put it in our food.
In large amounts, And yeah.
That's Sweet and Low, right? The pink packets is the aspartame. I'm pretty sure it's Sweet and Low.
I'm not entirely sure.
I'm pretty sure.
But it's in like a lot of sodas, diet sodas.
Yeah.
drinks and other stuff that's I usually advertise as sugar free or 0 calorie.
Well, what do you think they use to make it taste good?
Right.
If it's
It's still
if it's
sweet. It
diet,
tastes
you
sweet
have to use
anyway.
something. We call that
So a
chemical
lot of these were
sizzle.
being paid by lobbying group known as American Beverage, which represents the likes of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, all your
Those
major
big
drink
ones.
manufacturers. Um, anyway,
Hmm.
so once again, just kind of making the point you can't trust everything you hear out there.
But it was on the Facebook.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
This is why the burden's really on you as the consumer of the information to verify, is it real? Is it
But we
factual?
want it spoon fed
I
in small
know, I
bits. We
know.
have to have it. And I'm guilty of it too. You see it, and oh God, you think that's it. We have to look into it.
All right, we'll jump away from conspiracy theories now.
Isn't
As fun as those are.
well.
This one is called bovine colostrum and its potential for human health and nutrition. And this was published in I lost it.
He did that a long
Frontiers in
time ago.
Nutrition. Anyway, I won't read it because it's kind of long, but I'll paraphrase. So colostrum is, you know what it is?
I know what it is.
All right.
I birthed a child. Colostrum is kind of like your pre-milk that comes in. It's like
Yeah.
before your breast milk comes in. It's like that very full of good things for your child when you breastfeed.
Yeah. So really what it does is it's a boosting of our immune system.
Yep.
We get a lot of our initial
Immunity and things. Right.
immune, what's the term I'm looking for? Inoculation. No, that's not
Good
right.
shit.
Your initial source of antibodies you get from the mother in that first before the milk really starts, and it also builds your gut microbiome. It builds a lot that's very nutritious. It gets you it really primes your system to start absorbing breast milk. Anyway, they're looking at cow colostrum as being used, to treat certain things in people and
That's interesting.
to boost nutrition. And it really makes sense. I mean, many people are able to digest cow milk.
Not me.
Not everyone, but a lot of people are. And I think in here they found that most people, even if they were lactose intolerant, were able to.
See, that was my first thought when you say that bovine colostrum. I'm like, well, I can't do dairy, so what about that? So I wonder if being a not necessarily the dairy in the colostrum,
Yeah,
if it has a different makeup.
It has substantially less lactose.
Oh, thank God. Yeah. Huh. That's fascinating. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, but it's full of healthy fats, vitamins, very high mineral content.
Did they say what it would be used to help treat or what it's for? Or I mean,
yeah, they were looking, the clinical applications would be, so looking at it for like high level athletes.
Okay.
Looking to build body mass or weightlifting,
Sure.
high performance, that kind of thing.
Athletes, bodybuilders, they buy breast milk from women online.
Exactly.
So weird.
Yeah. NSAID induced GI inflammation and permeability. So a very distressed,
yep.
Inflamed gut to help heal that.
You said NSAIDs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ulcerative colitis.
Oh, hey.
Another inflammatory bowel disease.
You're speaking my language.
Yeah. This one, necrotizing enterocolitis, NEC. I'm not even sure what that is.
Necrotizing, so dying tissue.
Most common morbidities associated with preterm birth.
Ew.
Anyway, they're looking at it for that. Traveler's diarrhea. So, which is again an imbalance.
Listen, I feel like a lot of us know what you're talking about with that.
That's all they've done tests with it so far, but a lot of expectations and hopes that could be extremely useful.
Okay. That's interesting. Like I said, that's a really neat one. I'm gonna have to see how that one's gonna work with like you said, with us non-dairy folk.
Right.
Cool.
And then this last one is titled Microbiota for Alzheimer's Patients Induce Deficits in Cognition and Hippocampal Neurogenesis.
And for the rest of us, what does that mean?
So for a while now, we've known there's a correlation, at least, between Alzheimer's and the gut microbiome.
Sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
So they're actually using the gut microbiome now to diagnose Alzheimer's.
Yeah. And we've talked about the discussion or the connection before with like MS
Right.
and lesions in the brain and different
They're
things.
correlating
So
it between all
sorts
kinds of things.
So what have you learned, kids? Take care of your gut.
And that's one of the very interesting things about it is they're really getting enough of an understanding of the imbalances in the gut microbiome, and based on what you see in there, they're using it as a diagnostic tool now,
Mhm.
where they can look at what's there, what's not there, and they can say, oh, they probably have this or that. You know, just like a blood test, they can do a microbiome test and do a culture of the bacteria in there.
Yeah.
Based on what you get, what you find, how much of it versus what you don't find that should be there. They can really diagnose a lot of things now.
Mhm.
But this study went a step further. So they kind of went in reverse. So they induced the microbiome changes that are correlated with Alzheimer's, and they were studying rats, because you actually can't definitively see Alzheimer's in the brain in a living human.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
yeah.
So they were doing this with rats, but so they induced the changes in the gut in rats that weren't experiencing Alzheimer's symptoms. And through that change, they were able to cause it. Okay. So this is
That
not
is terrible.
right. But it's now not just a correlation. Now they're seeing
It's
an
a
actual causation. Right.
Yeah.
So now they're seeing at least part of the way, part of Alzheimer's is caused by, or can be caused
Sure.
by, an imbalance in the gut.
Like I totally get it, but as also like that bleeding heart, like hippie part of me, that is just absolutely like awful, and I kind of want to cry for like these poor rats.
It's
I
unfortunate, but
understand.
you got to
I
remember how
know.
many people's lives have been
I know.
saved from studies done
I
on
totally
rats and other
understand.
animals.
I totally understand, but I am also the person who about wrecked my car the other day to save the tiny possum in the road. So my sister will get that because she was in the car in front of me and called me, and she's like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, it was, I just animals. I like animals more than people. I'm sorry.
But specifically, they were looking at the hippocampus
Hmm.
area of the brain, and Alzheimer's structurally affects that area
Yeah.
of the brain. So very interesting stuff that they were able to kind of reverse that process and actually cause it through that.
Well, and then speaking of, the gut thing, I came across the article and we were discussing babies' IQ and baby poop. Speaking of, you
Oh,
know, you know, we were discussing that one. I didn't get full into that article, but that was another weird medical fact. Um, that was just a little funsies I came across. So there you go, finding what you can and can't instead of your blood type and running those tests. There you can figure out your
just more and more we're figuring out the gut is intimately tied with pretty much everything.
yeah.
Uh,
So, well, I is that all of yours over there?
Burgers and
Oh, this one's for my married folk out there. For anybody who has a spouse, um, for I'm just gonna be there for my ladies out there with their husbands. This one's for you guys. I came across this, and this is at the bottom of this is the Indian Express. It's the Journalism of Courage. This is the honorable mention. Man flu is real, ladies. Write this one down. It says, yes, over the years, and this is quote, many have been guilty of sidelining the man's misery when they fall sick. But as a recent study shows, men suffer more when they complain about the cold. And I'm not going to give men credit that, yes, they really are more ill, because I will follow up. So just hang on, girls. Um, Men may really experience worse symptoms than women after catching a respiratory virus or flu that the new review suggests, and it's not right to dismiss it by deeming it as man flu. In the BMJ review published in December, researchers found evidence that men may have a weaker immune response to viruses that cause flu or the common cold, and not exaggerate the symptoms as many men think. However, it's not clear yet why the men may think, or why men may have a weaker immune system, or immune response, rather, to respiratory viruses. Researchers feel hormones could play a role. However, the estrogen in particular, providing a protective effect against these viruses in women. So, men are wusses when it comes to getting sick.
I heard the opposite from that.
Yeah, they're just they've got wussy immune systems. There we go. I'm just having a chuckle on it. I'm sorry.
What I heard there is that you making fun of us because we get really sick from it.
Listen,
not warranted.
Listen, every wife knows, or every woman knows, like when the guy gets sick, it's like, and we poke fun. But yes, it does say that a man does experience, it seems.
So we're not making it up.
Some of you may not be.
Okay.
And they're not sure why. That does not give you a pass, but you may seem to be having a weaker immune system than the rest of us. So women are stronger is what I'm hearing.
I think you're misinterpreting that.
Listen, that's my story.
It sounded like our immune systems are different.
This is my story, and I'm telling it how I like.
And they handle different sorts of illnesses in different ways.
Okay. All right. Anyway. So I thought that was kind of
just curious, because what role do the hormones play in the immune system?
They said something with the estrogen having to do with it. So, and how it, so yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Honorable mention. That was good. But yeah, I thought this was kind of a little fun, a fun thing we could do with the episodes, is find some weird and interesting medical things going around.
Well, I've got one more. We got some time left.
What you got?
It's called Life Course Patterns of Prescription Drug Use in the United States. This is kind of depressing.
Oh boy.
They're looking at a trend linked to increases of medicalization, institutional factors relating to healthcare and pharmaceutical industries, and population aging and growing burdens of chronic disease. So essentially, they were looking at how many years should we be expecting to be on prescription drugs of some form.
It's kind of a broad thing. I guess it depends on.
They found newborns born in 2019 could be expected to take prescription drugs for roughly half their lives. So 47 and a half years for women and 36.8 years for men. That's based on a statistical analysis.
It's a good lifespan.
True.
All right.
Not really.
Wait, 47 and a half years for women?
Yeah.
You're looking at half your life?
Roughly. On prescription drugs.
Yeah. What's a pill a day?
If that's acceptable to you?
I mean, listen, I fall into that category.
There are also important differences by race and ethnicity.
Yeah.
Non-Hispanic whites take the most. Hispanics take the least. Non-Hispanic blacks fall in between. Just, I don't know if that's a reflection of access to healthcare more than anything.
I wonder if that has anything to play with it. And
there's probably some cultural aspects.
I was wondering that as well.
us white folks seem to think it's just perfectly normal.
Sure. Here's your Prozac. It's fine. But also, like you said, accessibility, um, you know, healthcare. Remember what's my catchphrase? Healthy people don't make any money.
But how much money is wrapped up in that if
Good God.
the average adult is on drugs half of their life?
Yeah. But and how many of them have health insurance?
It's still money.
I know.
Billions and
Jeez.
billions and billions. And
And the average lifespan, you're looking at 70, 80 years. Don't mind the dog in the background.
anyway, there's lots of fancy math in here. I'm
Please don't.
not going to bore you with.
Please don't.
Statistics was a fun class. Not really.
No. Megan didn't get that far in school. I hate math.
Anyway, that's what I had today.
Yay, math.
Yay.
Hmm.
But I think the gut microbiome stuff, there's so much happening with that right now.
You got my political brain worked up with
What?
cultural people and having access to healthcare. Now I'm upset.
This is not the time nor the place for your political rants.
Well, you know what? Vote for Megan.
I've had my fill already.
Listen, November 7th we are a week away. We're almost there. We are almost there.
So today's topic, meditation.
I should probably be doing more of that.
So first, let's just start with what was our experiment?
Your experiment was you wanted me to meditate for a week.
Were you able to make it to a week?
And not quite a full week, but I tried real hard.
Okay.
And I was doing it before bed. I found me a couple little apps. My God, some of those apps though. Like I'd had a couple of them. I don't know if I can like name drop on some
There's a
of those,
bunch
but
out there
whatever.
nowadays.
Yeah, I was using like Calm with some of the other ones.
Insight Timer is my favorite.
Oh, I had some other ones. There was a few of them. And they had some, like a lot of them had like, of course, the paid portions, but a lot of them had free stuff. Well, I hadn't used some of them in a while. I went back in and all of it was like locked now. You didn't have like the free stuff.
Yeah, no, like Calm and Headspace were real popular. They had a lot
Those were the two I
when they
had.
first came out, but
Yeah.
now there's pretty locked down.
Everything.
Yeah.
They had a lot of free, like the falling asleep and like some of the breathing exercises. They had some free stuff. And I love them because there was this one dude on there had the most amazing voice. I'm not even joking. He had like a little bit of a British accent. I could listen to that guy read my grocery list. I don't care. All of it's locked. And that really pissed me off because it's like, you got to give them a little sample if you want to drag them in.
That's why I like
Nope.
Insight Timer. It's got
Yeah.
a lot of
I have,
free ones.
that's the one I actually was using now. It has a ton
Really
of
only
stuff.
the paid stuff is for the courses.
Well, it even has, I think, some free bits of those too. So I actually was using that one and I was using it to go to bed and I was doing that at night.
So what did you notice?
I noticed that I did fall asleep well. The only thing that was weird for me is I feel like I fell asleep hard. And then it's like all of a sudden my alarm's gone off and I was real pissed about that because it's like I felt like I just fell asleep. So I don't feel like it's almost like I immediately fell asleep and I don't know if I wasn't going through.
So do you feel rested when you woke up though?
Yes, I think so. But I don't feel like I felt like it's almost like that. I guess you would compare it to like that anesthesia thing. Like I was just there and all of a sudden I was out.
Well, it kind of makes sense. I mean, meditation.
Well, I don't
really,
like that.
you just talking about brain waves. I mean, a real deep state of meditation gets you into theta waves, which is beginnings of sleep.
Okay.
So it's like you're doing a lot of the work of falling asleep before you're intending to sleep.
I want to be like that deep, like, nice and like you wake up just like real like, oh, I was there for like you feel like you were sleeping and then all of a sudden like I was out and then it's like boom, I'm up and I'm like, what the hell? Like I was just, but no, I felt I feel like if that's the only thing that I would change, but no, I felt fine. I did feel like I was falling asleep much more easily because I am that person that will lay there and I will go through the whole, especially right now with elections, with campaigning, with everything. Like
So you definitely see it helping with quieting your mind.
for sure, because it does walk you through like the breathing and the gal does the whole relaxation thing, like the um I like the walking through the parts of your body, like the relaxing the parts and like recognizing this. Like I like that stuff. It gives you the focus to focus on and it relaxes and stuff. And um so it keeps my little ADHD brain focused on something and not like over here of what's going on in my head. So that was nice. So I felt like I fell asleep really quickly. You're already over there snoring like 10 minutes ago, but I did feel like I fell asleep much more easily. Um, but
Cool.
yeah, it was
Anything
nice.
else you noticed from it?
I don't
May
know.
not be long enough of a period of time
No,
to notice a
it's
lot.
something I would like to definitely get back into more, maybe after elections, just because I don't know, like I probably should do it more now because like I don't feel like I'm stressed right now. It's just I've got a whole lot going on. But I want to be able to really put all of it into it. But I don't know. It
I
was nice.
I too took on this experiment in a slightly different way because I was already meditating
Hmm.
semi regularly, not every day, but I would do it, at least a few times a week. But I got a lot more serious with it. I have been, still am, have been meditating. I would say most days upwards of an hour, especially in the morning. And
I'd like to have that time.
time flies when you do it. I'll tell you what, though. Anyway, I have noticed a lot of things that come with that. So, anyway, we're up on our first break, so I will get into what I've noticed when we come back. But I've definitely noticed quite a few things.
I'm gonna go see if I can find that hour to meditate.
You've got it. You just got to make it.
No.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you in a few.
Bye.
And welcome back to the Esoteric Wellness Podcast. We were just starting our discussion on meditation. And we were sharing our experiment that we've been doing with this. And I had mentioned that I had noticed a lot of things from my much more serious practice with meditation recently. And if you remember back to our episode on psychedelics, our first episode on psychedelics,
It was a very intense episode.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, but okay.
It was a lot of information.
But
It
we
was
talked a lot about the benefits of psychedelics, right?
Yes.
The changes in the brain.
Mhm.
So what I've noticed is, so I obviously have some experience with psychedelics as well. I've noticed a lot of the same things, okay, with this more intense practice with meditation. It's less intense, it's less significant,
And I've heard that.
and it fades faster. But following an hour of meditation in the morning, for example, I feel very similar to, say, the day after a large dose of psychedelics.
That same kind of heady.
No, not that feeling. Just
No.
it's hard to describe, but you just feel good.
Oh.
Okay. So I've noticed that with just generally the way I feel is very similar. And we're going to talk more today about why that might be. once we talk about what's happening in the brain with meditation, because it's very similar to what happens with psychedelics, just to a less significant degree, right? So that's one thing I've noticed is I just feel in that similar way. And yeah, so that's really interesting to me. Also, I've noticed I've tried a lot of different styles of meditation. So
The fact that you can tell me that there are different styles of meditation now cracks me up compared to just like 2 years ago.
I know I would have laughed at all this not long ago.
I know.
I would have. And I will fully admit that I was not as open-minded as I am today.
Not as that is an understatement, my friend.
Understatement of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, as I've tried different styles, I guess styles is probably a wrong term for that. Different use cases for it, okay, if you will. So I've done like some meditation focus on working with subtle energies in the body, or what's commonly called chakras, or things like that. And the first day I did that,
I'm sorry, I just love that you're saying these things.
laugh it up.
I am.
Laugh it up.
I am.
Anyway, the first day I did that, I thought I was getting sick. What are you looking at over there?
I'm sorry. I'm going to need to meditate after this. I am okay. So I'm going to need to let people know my football game's on right now. And this is how much I love my husband.
Would you put the phone down?
I'm going to put the
Good
phone
Lord.
down. I'm a Bears fan. I know. I need my meditation for that alone. Okay. And I was getting updates. Apparently there was a really good catch and I missed it. And I was getting updates and yeah. So it's fine. It's done. It's done.
Are you good?
I'm fine.
All right. Anyway,
This is how much I love my husband. I'm missing a football game to record this with him and for everybody. So, wife of the year.
mm-hmm.
Oh, you were getting sick.
I felt like I was getting sick.
Yes,
because I felt like, I hate to say it, but my energy had shifted. I was drained. I was tired. I was fatigued. It was really weird. I'm like, oh my God, am I getting sick? I'm coming down with the flu or something. And the next day I was fine. So what the hell was that all about? That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I also tried the other night, I've tried meditations for like astral projection. And that messed me up a little bit. Yeah, that was interesting.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I'm trying all these different things.
Who are you?
For fun.
Who are you?
I don't know.
Not the guy I married about 18 years ago.
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, lots of interesting things. We'll get into all of that a little more. But I want to start with just what the hell is meditation? Because I think there's so much misunderstanding about it, so much misconception about what it even is.
Like what you used to think it was.
Yeah. What did you think it was? I mean,
like
I'm just curious.
What I used to think it was?
Yeah.
I think what I used to think it was like a calming thing, just like sitting and just kind of probably just more of a calming, focusing thing, just to kind of, I would equate that with yoga, stuff like that back in the day. That's what I would roll it all in with. It was part of like that, more for just that's what I would have lumped it all in with. Yeah.
Okay. In my
former life.
Less open-minded, I always knew about meditation. I think that's probably what everybody can say. They've heard of it.
Yeah, everybody knows, I think, what it looks like.
I always saw it as a spiritual practice.
Okay.
Because it's always tied with spirituality in a lot of ways.
Yep.
We'll talk about why that is, and I also thought it was like an absence of thought.
It's quite
like you're just supposed to sit there and not think of anything.
Clearing the mind.
is clearly ridiculous. You can't just turn your brain off.
Wish I could some days.
But how I would define meditation today is meditation is a tool. And that tool is very flexible. You can use it for a lot of different things, a lot of different goals. That's why there's so many variations of meditation out there. You know, there's the typical cliche sit in silence meditation. There's also moving meditations like yoga or Tai Chi, Qigong, things like that. You know, there's all kinds of different ways to use this tool. So, what is meditation at its fundamental level? It's just placing focus and awareness where you want it. Where you place it could be a lot of different things, but it's controlling your focus, your awareness, and putting it where you want it. Simple as that. That's meditation. And when you break it down to that level, it's, you know, it's no longer this mystical, mysterious thing. It's very simple. Now, think of your average day. You're running about doing all things you do on a normal day. Where's your focus and your awareness?
About 8,000 different places at once.
Right. So this is bringing it all onto one thing at one time.
I think that's why people have, when they first think of it, they have a really hard time thinking, yeah, that's not going to happen, because closing all those little computer tabs and focusing on one thing is really hard to do. And speaking from experience, it's very hard to do. To stop watching all those cars passing and just focus on one thing is really, really hard to come back to.
Yes. And we'll talk a little bit about why that is.
Because I'm nuts.
For most of us. Not that you're nuts, but that you're in survival mode. You're in that.
God, I hear that from you all the
stress
time.
response, that fight or flight, you know, the sympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
And when you're
These
in
are
that
my
mode,
buzzwords out of you.
It's so darn important.
God.
When you're in that mode, you're just, you know, you're focused on staying alive. You're not worried about doing high quality work on any one thing. You're just, what are all the things I need to address in this moment right now to stay alive?
You know, it's so funny you say these things like, I'm focused on staying alive. It's not like I'm running through the field from a saber-tooth tiger trying to catch lunch.
Your nervous system doesn't know the difference.
I know. It's so wild. It's like I live a mundane life. You know, the scariest thing right now is I'm running for city council. Jesus, like, you know, I have to battle the Kroger. Oh my God.
But your nervous system and your brain sees standing up in front of a crowd of people and speaking as just as dangerous.
Let me tell
running
you what,
from that tiger.
That was terrifying. I did have to do that. That was scary. But, you know, I mean, it's keeping all those plates spinning and trying to keep your children alive and not strangle your husband. That's a lot. So.
And just, you know, from the physical health perspective, this is why meditation is so powerful, because it really it gets you out of survival mode. Nothing says I'm safe right now. There's more than like closing your eyes and relaxing.
Yeah.
I mean, why would anyone do that when they're in danger?
Right. A nice little nappy nap.
Yeah. So anyway, that's really at the core what meditation is. Now, like I said, it's a very flexible, universal tool. We can focus our attention and our awareness wherever we want on all kinds of different things. I think one of the most common is just like focusing on the breath.
Breathing, yeah.
Because it's something we all do. And most of the day we don't think about it. It just happens without our conscious awareness. Or you said like you liked before bed focusing on like physical sensations in the body.
Parts of the body.
Yeah.
Relaxing the body.
And, you know, our brain is every second of the day taking in massive amounts of information from our body, all our nerve endings, our senses. You know, current research is suggesting there's other senses that we don't even have an awareness of, but that's another episode.
There's always another episode.
But if you place your conscious awareness on it, you can start to pick up on some of that information. So if you like focus on your hand, the sensations of your hand, you can start to feel all these weird sensations, this tingling, this warmth, this cold, whatever. And that's just you peeking in on some of that information that your brain's always receiving from your hand. You know, you can focus and really become very, very aware of your heartbeat, for example. And you can feel the blood rushing through your body if you pay attention. What? Why are you giving me that look?
Okay.
You look like you don't believe me.
Listen, some of the things I've heard coming out of your mouth, that's one of the least weirder ones.
Okay. So I like to think of meditation as okay, let me back up.
Tangent.
Our show is called Esoteric Wellness, okay? And I have to bring in some of the esoteric here.
Please. I love the weird.
So much of the esoteric knowledge is about masterment of the mind, mastering your mind. And a lot of the times that's done via meditation. And once you're able to master the mind, you gain the ability to really affect and create your reality. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're finding more and more, at least physically in the body, the state of our mind has a huge effect on the state of the body. Yeah, I know. You're already rolling your eyes.
My eyes just rolled, so you guys probably heard that.
Yeah, we're going to go there for a minute.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm just going
I
to
know
sit
this
here.
is your favorite topic because I talk about it all the time.
I'm just going to sit here and listen. Guys, go for it.
Fascinating stuff. Okay.
Go ahead.
Why are you wincing in pain?
Because it's my mind-body connection here. Go ahead.
I don't know why you hate this so much.
Go.
Why do you hate this so much? I'm curious.
Because I hear it out of you all the time.
This is what I work in every day.
And because every time I go deep into politics, you also get the same look on your face.
Okay, that's fair.
There we go. Exactly. Because this is what we do. And we both go on about it and we hate each other's things.
Okay. You don't hate it. You're just tired of hearing it.
Because when I bring up the state gas tax, you also shudder. Exactly.
Anyway, so like Buddhist monks who have been meditating their entire lives.
I could not imagine, but seriously, like sidebar, could you imagine like dedicating your entire life to just doing that?
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. Then how do you just like, you're like 6 years old, and you're just like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sit on a pillow and say Om forever.
But wait till I tell you some of the cool shit
Okay.
they can do because of that.
Okay.
So they can regulate their body in an unbelievable way. Okay.
So you got like superpowers.
So like they could sit on the cold butt naked and increase their body temperature so they don't freeze to death. Just by thinking about it.
Why would you do that?
They can fluctuate their heart rate. What?
Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like I'm not I mean, okay, it's cool. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
But you're dedicating your whole life to.
I'm not saying you need to dedicate your whole life to be able to do this stuff, though.
That's just crazy stuff.
It is crazy.
Like these people, like, okay.
Anyway, they show a level of mastery and control over their bodies way above and beyond what modern science thinks is even possible.
Okay.
Okay. And they're also finding now that like doing things like visualizing healing after surgery,
Man,
we can call it manifestation, same thing. It has a huge effect in the outcome.
some people call that prayer.
You know what? Let's talk about that for a minute. Because
It is.
as I said, meditation has this very strong tie to spirituality.
Yes.
And what we want to talk about manifestation, prayer. I think prayer is a form of meditation.
Yeah.
You know,
They're just
we've lost that connection in modern society today. But if you read a lot of the ancient descriptions of prayer, it's just meditation.
Yeah.
And we could go into some of the weird stuff.
But instead of doing it to yourself, you're talking to somebody else.
Well, that's where the definition of prayer has changed over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
According to.
You know, it's morphed into this thing where we just ask God for everything we want and to help us with our problems.
My bear's got a lot of problems.
Yeah, anyway.
I said what I said.
But we can go into some of the weirdest stuff and how consciousness or focused intention affects physical reality outside the body even. So like they've done this study many times with the random number generators, which is it's a machine designed to spit out random numbers, which is a surprisingly difficult thing to do, spit out numbers that are truly random. Because you know, I can pull up a number generator on my computer here and you know, pseudo random numbers, but they're not truly random. There's a pattern because it's driven by computer code, right? Random number generators are built, most of them are based off of like some kind of radioactive decay or something like that. It's very intricate technology. Okay. It sounds simple, but it's really not.
Okay.
Anyway,
take your word for that.
They've demonstrated time and time again that people can focus their attention, their intention on this random number generator and make it no longer random just by thinking.
Well, didn't we talk about like the group thing? Like a group of people focusing on something and doing.
This is where I was going with the prayer thing.
Look at me.
So they've also noticed during times where there's significant events that grabs one's attention.
Mhm.
So times like 9/11, for example.
Sure.
Or the war going on in the Middle East right now.
Yeah.
Times where something happens and everyone's focused on it. All these random number generators across the earth stop working. They stop being truly random.
Really?
Yes.
It affects that.
It does.
Of all things.
Well, I'm sure it affects other things, but that's one way in which we're noticing it.
Could you imagine like if people were truly positive and like actually were like decent humans and came together instead of being negative assholes? The look on your face was just fabulous right now, by the way.
Yes, exactly.
What we could accomplish.
But I think that's, you know, I think prayer is a lost technology in a big way, because if you could get a large number of people to focus on one thing in a specific way to carry out a specific intention.
Oh my God, you know, I just had a
What?
lot of the Care Bear stare.
The Care Bear stare.
Only like the older, like our generation older are gonna get that. It's the damn Care Bear stare. We gotta
now
focus that energy.
I'd have to look this up, but there was somebody, I might look it up over the break, but this was I think it was in the 70s or 80s. Anyway, someone who had a show, they tried this out. So
Yeah, the Care
I
Bears.
think it was in the Southwest United States. Are you done?
No.
The Southwest United States, they were in a drought during that time. And they got on the show and they had it was a live show. I don't remember if it was radio or TV, but they asked everyone to focus on it raining in this place.
Really?
Yeah. And it worked so well. It scared the shit out of the guy who set this up. Like, day, like the next
Oh, it was like
day,
cloud bursting, but in the
yeah,
opposite.
like the next day or the 2 days later, like it rained like hell, and it rained and rained and rained so much it flooded.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll have to look this up because it's a really interesting story.
Okay.
But
I've never heard
examples
of
like that where you get a large number of people focused on one thing with a specific intention, it seems to affect reality.
That's cool.
And they've done other studies looking at like ice crystal formation, where one group they were giving it like a positive intention, positive emotion, the other was negative, and
Oh, that was like Mythbusters and the plants.
they've shown it with plants too.
Yeah. Or they yelled at him.
Yeah. But the ice crystals that got the negative intention grew all disformed and ugly, and the ones that got positive intention grew these big, beautiful, symmetrical crystals.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, all kinds of things like that. We could do a whole episode on studies that have been done like this. So where I was going is the esoteric teachings is all about mastering the mind so you can master your reality. You know, if I could sum up all esoteric teachings, that's it. You know, whether it's know thyself or, you know, whatever. It's all down that path of mastering your own mind so you can master your reality. Okay. And this is where meditation comes in. It's one of the most flexible tools to do that. You know, there's other ways to go about it as well. Meditation is not the only path to this, but I think it's most accessible because anybody can do it.
Sure.
But, you know, back down to earth a little bit, just to staying in our own physical bodies.
Yeah, what fun is
and
that?
the effects it can have. I have yet to see a scientific study where they've tried meditation as a treatment, and it didn't have a positive effect.
Yeah.
Let me pull that up. I'll pull it up over the break. We're almost there. But anyway, I'll just read the listed conditions that has shown positive results for. It'll blow your mind. So much so that now, like, I've seen multiple occasions where, you know, they're setting up programs like following surgery, preparing for surgery, where they're teaching people how to meditate.
This is gonna be like another psilocybin list where like it literally helps everything.
Pretty much.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Literally
So
helps
kids,
everything.
get your mushrooms and learn how to meditate and you'll be fine.
It's crazy. Okay. And it's something that I use all the time when helping people get, you know, out of chronic pain, for example. And a lot of it's like focused on visualizing being pain-free first. And I do it in how I, you know, mind body coaching. A lot of what I do is help people visualize what they want. So there's this interesting fact that your brain and your body doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So if you imagine a scenario and you feel the feelings associated with it, your brain and your body don't know the difference between whether that really happened or not.
I'm taller, skinnier, and richer.
Yeah, you could visualize that. So what happens is you prime your brain and your body for that to happen before you even start to make changes.
I'm waiting.
The key is, though, you've got to feel the feelings that's tied to it. You can't just think about it. Because emotions,
I'm feeling real skinny and real rich. What's happening?
feelings and emotions are chemistry. It's a result of chemicals in your bloodstream released by your brain. Right?
This is sounding like a lot more work than I thought it was going to be.
It's not that much work.
Okay. Getting rich is sounding like a lot more work than it was going to be.
Anyway.
You're no fun.
So yeah, meditation is kind of the one of the primary tools to create the reality you want in a lot of ways.
It's the Matrix.
You know, we'll have to do an episode on the realization that we probably live within a
Stop it.
simulation.
I cannot do that.
It's more likely.
Stop. I don't do well with that.
No.
No.
Let's say there's one real universe. Okay.
Isn't it time for a break yet?
No, we're 2 minutes. Give me 2
God
minutes.
dang it.
Let's say there's one real universe. Okay. And some civilization in that universe gets to a point where they can create a simulation that's realistic enough to yield sentient beings within it, right? Now, if there's only one universe, and that's an assumption, there will likely be at least one civilization to get to that point, but probably more than one, right?
Yep. Probability.
And each of those is probably going to create more than one simulation, right? Are you agreeing with me so far?
I don't like this.
We can get to why this is a good thing, but
Yeah.
so odds are this is a simulation. That's more likely because there's more simulations than the real universe.
Can I just be a happy little primate and just minding my business here? Stop ruining things.
How's it ruining it?
I don't know. I don't like it.
The simulation could be way better than reality.
So I'm just in a little wet tank somewhere,
No,
or I'm just somebody's computer thing. I'm a sim.
You would be entirely in the simulation.
I'm a sim.
Or there's some theories that your consciousness is somebody from the real world experiencing the simulation, like virtual
Why
reality.
does somebody want this? Why does somebody want this? You are.
And the simulation is so realistic that you forgot by coming into the existence of the simulation that it's a simulation.
Why does somebody want this struggle right here? Why is somebody wanting this? I am sitting here in my Crocs, looking real sad with the struggle.
Maybe it's randomly assigned.
Oh, this poor sucker. Oh, and somebody's out there being Taylor Swift right now at the football game, living that life, and then this poor sap got me.
But maybe the time is so different to them, you know, they experience your whole life in half an hour.
Well, that one sucked. Oh God. Well, can they hurry up and tell me how this council race went? Can they send me that little note? Ugh.
So the people who seem to have it all, you know, they're using cheat codes or something.
Oh my God, it's the Blackfish thingy in Sims.
The what?
The cheat code in Sims.
I never really played Sims.
Oh, I did. I always liked building houses. There was a cheat code. You had to get the fish. I think it was like the black, I don't know, it was a mackerel or salmon or whatever. And if you got that, like you got all the money.
Oh.
Yeah. There has to be some nerd out there that's listening to this that understands what I just said.
I'm sure.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to our halfway point.
Now that you just made me all depressed by telling me I'm somebody's sad computer program.
Anyway.
Somebody just put me in the pool and took the stairs away, so I can't get out. I'm going to die now.
Wow.
Yeah. Or put them in a room and take the door.
We don't have a pool, so you're fine.
I have the duck pond.
All right, we'll be back in a few. Welcome back to the Esoteric Wellness Podcast.
We're back from the Matrix.
About halfway through our discussion on meditation. I think we took a bit of a tangent there at the end
We wouldn't
of
do
last
that.
segment, but that's okay.
That's what I'm here for.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about, what is meditation being used to treat right now? And I just wanted to read through this list. And this is from a kind of a meta-analysis is what it's called, which is um basically they look at a lot of other, a collection of scientific studies, so scientific papers that have been done. They'll look at all those, compile the results essentially, and look for patterns. Okay, that's what a meta-analysis is. So they weren't doing the actual research; they're just doing statistical analysis on other research that's been done. But in this analysis, you know, they're looking at treatment of, I'll just read through the list, breast cancer. And again, they're using meditation, not as like the sole treatment for breast cancer, but they're doing it in tandem with traditional treatment.
And I've always said, and then here's my thing on it, that I've got a client right now it's a group of clients. They have a family member who's dealing with another reoccurrence of cancer. And this particular person is really kind of lost a lot of, I guess, lost some faith. They're pretty down about it. It's not looking great, and they say that's a big thing. You've got to keep that positivity. You've got to keep that up, and you lose that of it, and I feel like this would help with that.
Well, one thing, just talking about cancer specifically, I'm going to go off on a rant here,
Go for it.
but so much of that culture around cancer,
Mhm.
it's like it's always phrased and worded as a battle. Like cancer is the enemy, you got to fight it.
Mhm.
So it's already setting it up in a way that it's you versus the enemy. It's a fight, it's a battle. And what does that do? Activates your fight or flight response.
Yeah.
So I think I told you I did a lot of reading at some point on like cases of spontaneous remission.
Yes. That was a while ago.
Yeah. And in almost every single one of those cases, there's an intense shift in mentality, and it's always away from this. You got to fight this thing. You got to, be in war against this thing,
Mhm.
and it's shifting to acceptance of what it is, more fighting it with love and acceptance than all this fear and anger.
Well, I think they're kind of moving toward that. You see so many of these different institutes and things like that. A huge portion of it is like I guess I'll use the term spiritual, like they have support for that. It's more of like your mental health, spiritual support,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. How can we help you not just on in as you will your fight, your battle and the actual treatment, but how can we help you in that, keeping you in that portion over here as well, keeping you in that positive. That is a huge
Well, that
thing.
whole aspect of fear, um, it's a huge driver of these mind, body, or psychosomatic
Mhm.
issues. And I think cancer, not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, it's a psychosomatic um, cause.
Mhm.
There's obviously cancer from other things like exposure to toxic chemicals and things like that. But
Sure.
um,
Mesothelioma, we always see that one on
right.
TV.
And, I deal with this all the time with chronic pain. It's all about getting rid of the fear of whatever they're dealing with, the pain,
Sure.
the gut symptoms, whatever it is. But it's getting them to a place where they're not any longer afraid of it. They're accepting it. They're looking at it in that different way, and that's when it starts to go away. So that's just something that irritates me about cancer.
It's like you said, this is a tool, like you mentioned earlier, in conjunction with.
So yeah, they're adding this
treatment.
to whatever the traditional treatment is and seeing if they get a more positive result.
Yeah.
So cancer, there's several types of cancer in here. Looks like breast cancer was a primary. But they saw significant improvements in depressive mood, fatigue, cognitive functions, pain, anxiety. What else is in here? Sleep, hot flashes, mood, quality of life, spiritual well-being, mental health, stress, anger, mood.
Good God, I got most of those.
So I mean, it's not like, it made the cancer disappear necessarily, but it's definitely helping.
Yeah.
And then these other ones, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, fibromyalgia. These are all fancy terms for chronic pain, in my opinion.
Autoimmune.
Chronic low back pain, neck pain, chronic pain in general. So these all saw improvements in depressive mood, inflammatory markers, sleep, anxiety, stress, pain, civic engagement, stress,
Civic
fatigue.
engagement.
I think that's a fancy word for being more engaged with life, people around them.
Oh, I should probably meditate more.
It's a big part of chronic pain recovery is, pain usually turns people into shut-ins.
Yeah.
What else was in there? General health outside of what they're treating, quality of life, vigorous activity, flexibility. Then diseases of the nervous system, Parkinson's, headaches, migraines, multiple sclerosis, heart disease, hypertension, congestive heart failure, coronary heart disease,
The
carotid
hypertension makes sense.
atherosclerosis,
Atherosclerosis. Huh?
gynecological disease, pelvic pain, dysmenorrhea, menopausal disorder. Diabetes type 2, obesity, metabolic syndrome, glaucoma, tinnitus.
Glaucoma?
Yep.
Really?
Functional gastrointestinal disorders, inflammatory bowel disease, COPD, HIV, periodontitis, renal disease, asthma.
Good. Wait.
Hmm.
Periodontitis?
Periodontitis, yes. So improvement in stress and overall periodontitis symptoms.
Okay.
But
That was just
why'd that one grab your attention?
your teeth. I'm assuming just pepper.
I think HIV was interesting.
I thought that one too. Well, that's probably just I'm assuming.
Well, it improved depressive mood,
That's
anxiety,
exactly
fatigue.
that. I was assuming a lot of the
general health,
stress and stuff that went with it. Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of
wow.
And that's just the physical stuff. Now here we get all the mental disorders. Depression, PTSD, ADHD, anxiety, social anxiety, sleep disturbance, insomnia, alcohol dependence, other drug use.
Now, see, a lot of this makes more sense.
Yeah. Right. Because when you think of meditation being helpful, you think mental health.
Mind. Yeah.
But that first set was all physical disorders. So dare I say, the mind and body are connected.
Oh, shut up.
But we already knew that.
So for anybody who's new to this and cannot understand why, the mind body connection gets brought up in my house at least once a day for whatever it may be, whether it be something I say, something that is ailing me, something that gets said on TV, something that's brought up, something. Kyle usually has to pipe in with his whole mind body connection and how that's either crap that they're saying and it's this, or he has to put his opinion here or there or whatever. And yeah. So about once a day, it's brought up and it's the bane of my existence.
It is
and
your existence. That's why it's so
Yep,
important.
there it is. So I can't even watch The Sopranos without getting brought up. And then I want to stab him a little bit. So there it is. Here we are. Yep. Just sit there and chuckle.
It's so important.
So is being aware of the Indian estate gas tax.
No,
but you
it's
try
not.
to just dismiss that. Paying about 80 cents more on the dollar than everybody else. That's not important.
What is all that stress around that topic doing to your body?
It doesn't matter because we're going to go broke.
Oh, God.
Super majority.
Anyway.
See, we're just going to kill each other. That's all it is. The stress.
Let's talk a little bit about what meditation does to your brain.
Tell me.
What do you think it does? Just guessing.
What does it do to my brain? It probably puts it in a nice, relaxed, dare I say, meditative state. I can't use the word.
It's meaning more physically.
Oh, physically? It probably releases all sorts of chemicals to make it happy.
Okay, that's a very
I'm using lay
generalized
terms.
way to say.
I'm using lay terms. It probably releases happy things, makes it happy.
So this is where I was talking.
Calming
if you remember
things.
a lot of what we talked about in our episode on psychedelics, when we talked about what was physically happening in the brain, right? Do you remember any of that?
That was
Let me
months ago.
refresh your memory.
Months ago.
So we talked about this whole idea of global communication.
Oh, the
coherence.
hemispheres.
So you have all these compartments in the brain that do different tasks, different things in the body. They control different things, right? And normally, I hate to use the word normally because that's an assumption, but the average person today, they're all doing their own thing. They're not communicating much with each other with different compartments.
Neither
And we talked about how when you use psychedelics, it really changes that. Like suddenly everything's communicating with everything else. There's this global connectivity.
That's why everything looks and sounds really cool.
And even when you look at it like on a brainwave scan or what is it? EEG. Yeah. So they measure the brain waves at each of these compartments. It's all these electrodes they put on your skull. Those brain waves actually start to line up. They get coherent. So it's all like working as one. Okay. Well, during meditation, the same thing happens. It's not as significant. It's not as sudden as with psychedelics. But with practice, and consistency doing meditation, you achieve the same result. Okay. And, let's talk about brain waves a little bit. Our normal waking brain waves are beta. Okay. This is, a high level of activity. We're very focused on what's going on around us, that kind of thing. Step below that is, we're getting in a relaxed state. It's alpha. Right.
I think it'd be the other way around.
I don't know why that order is wrong.
I don't know.
I know there's a reason for it, and I don't remember what it is.
Okay.
But below beta is alpha, and then below alpha is theta. And very deep state of relaxation. This is kind of the goal of meditation, is to get to theta. This is the beginning stages of sleep.
Okay.
And I always know when I've achieved that during meditation, because I start doing naturally, involuntarily, I start to sigh. Like when you take like a deep breath in, you actually do that all night long when you're sleeping and don't realize it. That always happens to me when I get there.
Is that like the moan, like when people like moan in the middle
It
of the night?
can be.
You do that.
So do you.
I do not.
But anyway, that's always my cue that, oh, I've reached theta.
That's weird.
But below theta is delta, and that's like a deep state of sleep. And then below that's death. You're not on at all.
If you've gotten there, you've gone too far.
And there's also this interesting one called gamma, which is
Bruce Banner.
the brain waves look like way more energetic.
Nobody really.
Yes, Bruce Banner.
Thank
the
you.
Hulk.
Got it. God.
Not gamma radiation.
I'm sorry.
Gamma waves.
There was a nerd.
So they're way more energetic than alpha, but they are beta, but they happen in a deep state of relaxation typically.
Okay.
It's really weird. It's like you get super, super relaxed and then you get in that zone or whatever. Anyway, we're getting distracted. So during meditation, the brainwaves slow down.
Mm-hmm.
You go from beta to alpha.
Theta, dead.
No, not dead. There's delta under there, but anyway, so we see things slow down. You definitely seeing the relaxation and that global coherence between all the different areas of the brain happen during meditation. So to explain some of the physical, benefits, how it was helping treat a lot of these physical ailments, diseases. So the nervous system, relaxing gets us out of sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, into the parasympathetic. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this again. A state of relaxation. But what that does is, so when we're in fight or flight, the body diverts energy away from non-essential activities like digestion, healing, controlling like systems like hormone regulation, detoxification of the body, repair damaged tissues, damaged cells. So all these, life support systems that in the moment can be turned off to deal with
about that later.
Yeah. Well, it's not of super importance right now. We need to get away from this danger first, or none of that's going to matter anyway.
And what is it? Revert the energy over here, and systems.
Yeah, I always think of Star Trek when they're always talking about diverting power from this system to the shields here. Or whatever.
Yes, that's exactly what my brain was doing.
Same idea.
God, we're such geeks.
Meditation turns all those things back on, right? It makes the brain feel safe. Like we're relaxed right now, we're super chill. Nothing's trying to eat us.
All my shields are up.
Turn all the life support systems back on. So I think that explains a lot of the benefits physically that we see from meditation, is just letting the body do what it's supposed to do. Because in this modern world, we're so often all day long, we're in fight or flight. We're dealing with things that stress us out. And a lot of people are stuck in that survival mode constantly.
Yeah.
And when you are, your body's not healing itself. It's not taking care of the damage that's being caused day in and day out.
Yeah.
So just giving it a chance to do what it needs to do can make a huge difference. So some of the more specific structural changes in the brain. So in the hippocampus.
That word makes me giggle every time.
Why?
Is hippo.
Hippo, yeah. So this is an area of the brain that helps us learn. We use it for cognitive ability and memory. are also emotional regulators associated with self-awareness and empathy. Research has confirmed that meditation helps the thickness of the hippocampus grow in volume. So gray matter density actually increases as a result of meditation, which is really cool because how many times were we told growing up you never grow new brain cells? Which is bullshit.
Burning up them brain cells.
Yeah. The posterior cingulate. What's that?
Posterior cingulate?
Yeah.
Why are you asking me?
I'm just seeing if you know.
Posterior cingulate.
I wouldn't have known.
Hang on here. Anterior is your front, posterior is in your back, cingulate is one. So, it's a back something.
It's connected with wandering thoughts and self-relevance, degree of subjectivity and referral to oneself and processing information.
Wandering thoughts. I've got a big one of those.
Yours may be really strong.
Yes.
Or maybe not. It seems that the larger and stronger the posterior cingulate, the less the mind wanders.
Oh, mine's tiny.
And the more realistic the sense of self can be.
I might not have one.
Maybe yours withered away. I don't know.
He's gone.
Two of the vitally important effects that meditation has on the mind are the ability to remain attuned to the present moment without judgment, regret, or anticipation, and the ability to observe sensations and emotions that arise in the mind stream without necessarily identifying with them. Meditation seems to increase the density of the posterior cingulate. So that ability to kind of separate ourselves from what's happening. It's not all about you.
How does it go? I reject your reality and substitute it with my own.
Yes. The pawns.
In the ponds, in the pond. Oh, wait, no, that's the pines.
This is a very busy and important part of the brain where many of the neurotransmitters that help regulate brain activity are produced. So it's located in the middle of the brainstem. Its name, pons, comes from the Latin for bridge. So it's involved in a great number of essential functions, including sleep, facial expressions, processing sensory input, and basic physical functioning. So meditation definitely has been shown to strengthen the pons. So it's like everything kind of goes through that area. So if that's working better, kind of makes everything work better. Here's a mouthful.
Please be one of my favorite words that you're going to say.
What's that?
Medulla oblongata.
No.
Damn.
The temporoparietal junction.
Oh, yeah. Right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Empathy and compassion are associated with the temporal parietal.
Yeah.
TPJ.
Yeah.
As is our sense of perspective. We might say that the TPJ focuses on me.
Because it's all about me.
Or rather, no, the TPJ shines a light on everything else rather than focuses on me.
It's still about me.
Becomes more active when we put ourselves in someone else's shoes, for example. So a stronger TPJ combined with other benefits of meditation, like lower stress and present moment awareness, can help us be the good people we aspire to become.
Temporal parietal junction.
So it's a roundabout way of saying it makes you a better person. One more.
Okay.
The amygdala.
Ooh.
So the amygdala doesn't get larger, it actually shrinks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting very strong indications that we need to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back soon. right, welcome back to the Esoteric Wellness Podcast after that early break.
Listen,
Someone had to make an emergency exit.
32 ounces of water goes through you quick, okay?
All right. So we were talking about some of the structural changes that have been found as a result of meditation.
And how I find the word hippocampus very funny.
Yes. So the last one we were on was the amygdala.
Mhm.
So the amygdala is the part of the brain that produces feelings of anxiety, fear, just generally stress.
You said it shrivels.
Yeah. So meditation actually makes the amygdala smaller, which is a good thing. So we will feel less of these negative feelings.
I feel like my amygdala is very large.
So they found actually just an 8-week course in mindfulness-based stress reduction led to a measurable decrease in the size of the amygdala.
Can I throw in a fun fact on the brain?
Go for it.
So there is an outer layer on the brain. It's called the dura mater.
Mhm.
It's the covering of the brain. And it's actually in Latin, dura mater means tough mother. And I absolutely love that. So it's that tough outer protective layer. And so yeah, I just love that. I would love to have something with dura mater on it, just knowing that it just means tough mother. Makes me feel kind of like a badass. That's just me. Anyway,
Okay.
that's your fun fact for the day. Dura mater means tough mother.
So yeah, those are some of the physical changes that have been found. I'm sure there's more that haven't been found yet.
Mhm.
And those are also, like I mentioned, in line with what we see following the use of psychedelics as well, which is interesting to me because
What was that one thing again? Posterior sing. What was it?
you would ask me as soon as I close it.
I did. Anyway, my thing was very, very tiny, non-existent. Posterior single something. Anyway, it's just fascinating the fact that something that you can do on your own, you don't need anything physical. You don't
Just
need
doing literally nothing is from outward appearances.
yes, can make such an impact on the body, physically, emotionally, mentally, what it can do for you. And like I said, even I mean, and what it did for me, and like I said, just sleeping, just trying to like calming the brain at night and trying to get to bed. Oof.
Let me just talk a little bit about kind of how the brain works as a whole and why it's so tied.
We don't have enough time for that.
Well, I'm not going to give you a detailed neurobiology lesson here.
Get your notebooks out.
Why just the way we think has such an effect on the physical? Because that's not intuitive, right? It's like we almost think of thought as like something non-physical, non-tangible.
Sure.
That just happens.
But think about it. There's always that phrase, oh, you're going to worry yourself sick.
Well, it's very real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting, your fun fact. So
oh, my dura mater?
The brain, so are the outside, the top layers of our brain, the wrinkled up outside.
Yes.
So those neurons in that part of the brain are very small and very densely packed. That's where most of our thinking capacity lies. That's what sets us apart from a lot of the other animals on the planet. That's why our brains are so powerful.
Big wrinkly brains.
Yeah, and they're wrinkled to increase the surface area.
Yeah.
So if you smoothed all that out and laid it flat, it would be really big. I forget the actual area.
I don't remember, but
it's surprisingly large. That it all fits in our skull.
It's kind of like our intestines. It's like 35 feet. But it's all wound up in there.
but that outside part of the brain where all these very small, densely packed neurons lie,
Mhm.
that's where all the information that our brain is taking in is first processed. So think about it. All your nerve endings, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your taste, all those senses are constantly, it's a continuous flow of information to the brain. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and thank God we're not consciously aware of all that all the time.
No, that's what your medulla. That's that fun word, that medulla oblongata. That is your autonomic
Part of it,
nervous
yeah.
system does that for you.
So the brain essentially is a guessing machine. It makes millions of assumptions all the time.
Sometimes they're not always
Oh,
good.
sometimes it's dead wrong. Yeah. But this is what gets us away from having to experience all this stuff all the time.
Mhm.
And since the brain doesn't have to process all of this information, it allows us to act quickly, or we would be quickly overwhelmed with all this information.
I do that on my own anyway. Thank you.
Right. You do that on your own just fine.
Yep. Don't need
With
it
the
to add
limited
to it.
information that you're consciously aware of.
Yes.
So this outside part of the brain, it gets us all this information, it makes an assumption. And these assumptions are based on the information it's receiving and past experience.
Mhm.
So it's making a guess as to what it's expecting to happen, and from that guess, it's creating what's called an action plan. So we're going to do whatever based on that information, based on that guess. And it's doing this continuously all the time. So it sends that down to the next level of the brain, where the neurons are a little bigger, a little less densely packed. So it's like filtering from all these neurons down to a smaller number of neurons. So that guess is sent down a level, and then it gets processed into another guess based on that first guess and past experience. Okay. And so on. It keeps getting deeper into the older parts of the brain. Like you said, in the brainstem, the medulla oblongata is down there. Mama said. Um, anyway, as it gets passed down, it's that information is getting smaller and smaller because it's more of a guess, right? With each of these guesses and action plans is also creating an emotional state, a feeling, a sensation, right? Does that make sense?
No, I'm listening. I'm taking it in.
Okay.
Okay. I'm learning.
So there's the question often posed where does some event cause an emotional response, or does an emotional response cause something to happen in the body? And it's really both. It all happens simultaneously. So a lot of this guessing is why your mind and your body don't know the difference between reality and imagination and thought. So think of your brain like it's trapped in this dark cave of your skull, and it has to make assumptions and guesses about what's going on around it.
Okay.
Okay.
So is that why we reread books, like when we get so engulfed in books, and why we
Yeah.
get so invested in these characters and things, because it makes sense.
Because your brain and your body experiences that
Oh yeah.
as if it's actually happening to you.
I like books. I just
But
it makes
where
it
I'm
makes a lot
going
of
with all
sense. Yeah.
this is why meditation can be so powerful, because through just thought and visualization, you can create an experience that your mind and body sees as real, which causes all kinds of things to happen in your body. and in your brain.
The cat's trying to break in. Don't mind that. Um, hmm.
So how I use this a lot is um just say someone wants to start a new habit.
Sure.
Very simple.
We could all use those.
Creating a new habit is always hard. There's no way around that because you got to rearrange neurons in your brain.
They say it takes what, like 12 times or something like that of doing something to form that habit to keep it going or something.
But with the tool of meditation, you can visualize yourself doing this habit before you actually start doing it. And you're already starting to rearrange those neurons.
Mm-hmm.
You're already developing those neural networks associated with that activity.
Okay.
You're already creating the chemistry in your body associated with that activity. So instead of trying it and failing 20 times before it becomes a habit, you can visualize it 20 times and then try and fail it maybe 2 or 3. It's like you start that process of change before actually taking action.
So, okay, here's
This is that idea of manifestation.
hear me out here. So when people go to a hypnotist, blah, 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 for like smoking cessation, same idea.
Hypnosis is a form of meditation.
So like
with the second party involved.
You're getting into this.
So
you're seeing yourself quit smoking, blah, 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 blah. Is it kind of that same idea?
Exactly.
Okay. Look at me putting things together.
So when you slow down your brain waves, in beta and alpha, we're not very, at least most people aren't very, what's the word? Not suggestive, but
malleable.
Malleable is, a good way to describe it. But when you get down in that more relaxed theta, we're very able to take in
easy
a suggestion.
To suggestive. Yeah. Suggestive.
That's what a hypnosis is. It's
Yeah.
getting people relaxed to that state of suggestibility.
Yeah.
So you're really accessing the subconscious mind in a big way and implanting an idea. Hypnosis is just a guided meditation.
I'm sorry. The cats really want to be a part of the podcast. Shh. It's just
but yeah, hypnosis is a guided meditation is all it is.
It's very interesting because some people swear like, oh, this really helped me, and that's just another way to go to show you that people have, they quit smoking, they've used it to, for weight loss. I know one woman, she wanted to drink more water, and that's a way, like, you don't ever catch her without a bottle of water. She almost gets panic attacky about, like, it just shows you that it helps, oh, I've gone to a couple of sessions and now boom, there you go. Like, now that's just something that they do all the time right there. Huh.
You could easily sit down on your own and
save yourself a few $100.
Do a meditation and visualize yourself doing the very thing and get the same result.
But people think that if you're going to a professional and it's like a guided meditation.
Yeah.
But under a different guise, I suppose.
Hypnosis has the appearance that someone's doing something to you.
That sounds dirty.
And some people, that's what they want. They want a solution to their problem that, if I tell you, you have the solution on your own.
Nobody likes that. I want you to tell me what's wrong with me and I want you to fix it.
And hypnosis has the allure of a quick fix.
As long as I don't squawk like a chicken afterward.
Yeah. But not everyone is, they say not everyone's able to be hypnotized.
Yeah.
And I think it's more, not everyone is able to relax
enough
as much as you need to be.
They say, getting into the suggestive state or whatever.
It's slowing down your brain waves. That's all it is. It's meditation.
Yeah, it makes sense. Because when you started saying that, it's like, oh yeah, when people go and blah 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 blah. Well,
So
there
yeah,
you
you
go.
can do this on your own by yourself.
Isn't it funny how people will go to like, oh, we'll go to this hypnotist, I'll quit smoking. But if you say, oh, let's go meditate, they'll be like,
Hmm.
it's funny.
I've heard it called self-hypnosis too, which is a silly term, really.
I think people look at it, a lot of people look at it the same way. It's all, oh, quacks all the way around, but who knows?
But other areas I use this a lot is with chronic pain.
Hmm.
We do a lot of meditation around visualizing,
Yeah.
not being in pain. And again, you're creating neural networks.
You make it sound so simple.
It is simple.
I know.
It is simple.
It's just people, and this is where, and this is what I'll tell people. You and I have gone round and round at this, and I would get so pissed off at you because you make it sound like it's so easy, and so
I
many
didn't say it
people.
was easy.
No, I know, no, it sounds so simple. And somebody like myself, I've dealt with health issues and pain issues and different things like that. But when you look at somebody and you're like, you say something that sounds, I'm not saying it's easy because I've done it, that sounds so simple and so easy. And somebody who, say, their entire adult life has dealt with chronic pain, who's dealt with this, who's dealt with that, who I've seen countless doctors and who had surgeries and this and that. And you come at them and you're like, well, duh, just do this. I would punch you in the face. I wanted to punch you in the face sometimes.
I get it.
But like, it just, when it's such a simple approach, and it can be, that was where my beef always came from. And to look at somebody and be like, I can give you this help here like this, that was always my thing, and offering somebody help like that doesn't require more surgery and more this and more that or whatever has to be such a breath of fresh air for someone.
Some people don't see it that way, though. Some people see it like it's not a legitimate form of help because
Yeah, I
it's
know.
not a drug or a
Yeah, I
surgery
know.
or a treatment.
I know. I know. I can see it from that way too.
Because a lot of times, especially with chronic pain, they're so stuck on the idea that something is wrong with them that needs to be fixed. When in reality, there's nothing physically wrong with their body. Their brain is just stuck in a habit of creating sensations of pain.
Was it because somebody's been telling them that for so long
That's
they think it
a lot of
is?
times a big
Yeah.
part of it.
Here we go again. Healthy people don't make money.
We need to do
I'm going to start making shirts that say that.
We'll probably do a whole episode on chronic pain specifically.
Oh, God.
It's fascinating.
We could do a whole friggin' segment on that. I could bring my mom on as a special guest and she could just tell you the shit her doctors have told her.
Yeah. But anyway, it's essentially weakening old neural circuits in the brain and creating and strengthening new ones.
Yeah.
And meditation is a key tool to do that.
Well, and isn't that something they do with people who deal with chronic pain? Don't they put on those stimulators to re-stimulate actual like neuro thing, isn't that kind of an idea of physically doing it versus mentally doing it, like in a idea? Or am I getting on a wrong tangent here?
Yes and no.
Okay. I don't know. I'm thinking. My brain's going and I'm going somewhere. But you've got actual physical nerves that need damage versus, the mental
Well,
ones
true neuroplastic chronic pain, there's no damage anywhere.
Right.
In the nerves or the body, anything. It's just the brain has learned the habit of creating pain, and it's usually seeing something as dangerous that it has to warn you about.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
it's usually stress.
Versus a real injury that needs
Yeah.
stimulation.
Gotcha. I have now learned that my back pain is tied to stress. When I get stressed
and they've already cut you open.
And I don't manage it well, my back pain returns. And yeah, it's frustrating to know that I probably never needed back surgery.
I don't know. Your MRI looked awful nasty.
I had a real injury in my disc, yeah. but it probably would have healed on its own. Too late now.
They ain't putting it back.
Nope.
Did we ever discuss that? Like your injuries and things like that? Is that something we've ever?
Save that for.
Oh, that's here we go. That's another episode.
No, that'll go well with chronic pain specifically.
There we go. We'll talk about you. We've talked about me and a buttload of my issues. We'll talk about you and yours someday.
Yep. Anyway.
Tangent.
So I wanted to talk about something else with meditation. Is I hear it all the time. I'm not doing it right. It's too hard.
It can be hard.
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, no, I know.
Say it's super
I get what
easy,
people are saying,
but I think
squirrel.
It's stemming from a wrong idea of what meditation is.
People think it has to be that silence.
What I usually hear is my mind is racing. I can't shut my mind up.
Yes.
And what I tell people is it's working. You're noticing. What's your mind racing about?
Mm-hmm.
You know, look at meditation as like it's your lens into your own brain.
It's terrifying.
And if something's always popping up, distracting you.
What are those things?
You know, that's what meditation is supposed to do. It's supposed to bring your awareness to it.
I had, before my app started charging fully, they said, you know, do your things either focusing on the breath or focusing on, you know, they would start at the top of the body and like notice, like focus on the head and do the neck. I like the body part thing, but then also because the breath feels just very one hit wondery. Like I don't like that. But and then it's like, you know, if you notice you start to wander, then come back. Like it's not like, oh, I failed and I have to stop. You know, you
one
notice
part of it too is, you know, you're building a skill.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna suck at first.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works.
I'm good at everything. What are you talking about?
No, you're not.
You hear how he talks to me.
But every time you lose focus and bring it back, you practiced.
And that's what he said. He's like, and if you notice, like at this point, if you're starting to wander, what were you wandering to? Like, what was it that caught your attention?
Right.
You know,
if you're noticing it's always the same thing.
Why is that? Yeah. And he's like,
curious about that.
He's like, if you notice, he's like, it's like cars passing. That was something they always said. It was like a car going by. Like, oh, okay. And then just bring it back. You know, they made it very sound. It's like they didn't shame you for it. It's like your brain is naturally going to wander.
Right.
It does that.
The point is not to sit there with a complete absence of thought.
It doesn't do that.
For one, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, no.
The point is to be observant and aware of your thoughts. And if you have no thoughts, what are you going to be aware of?
That's the thing.
And the point is also not to get lost in those thoughts. Like a thought pops in.
Acknowledge it.
Like, oh, there's a thought. I'm noticing that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to let it go.
Yep.
We'll see what comes up next.
And that was being aware of, oh, I caught myself. That was the thing. Acknowledging that, oh, I did wander, and then coming back.
And two, there's an aspect to this of why it's hard. So if you're someone who's stuck in survival mode most of the day.
Yes.
Okay. Your body becomes, in a way, addicted to those stress chemicals.
That sounds terrible.
So stress is all about uncertainty, right? And if we're used to being in a certain state, we want to stay in that state, whether that state's stress, relaxation, or whatever. If you're always in stress, eventually you get to a point where you want to be in stress because it's known, it's comfortable, it's not uncertain.
Well, this is it.
So when you suddenly sit down and relax, your body is like, what the fuck is going on? We don't know what this is. We don't like this. And it's going to make you feel restless.
I feel guilty. Yes.
It's going to try to get you out of that situation. So just recognizing that making the sudden change, your body and your mind is going to fight against it in some ways. Again, that's a good indication that this is probably going to be a good thing for you if it's hard.
Well, and I was telling Kyle earlier, my friend's son is in college, and I'm not sure exactly what he's going to college for, but one of his classes, he's required to meditate for an hour a day, and he has to log these things, and he struggles. Like, he is not the type of person to, he is a gym rat. Like, he spends, like, when he was in high school, when he wasn't in class, he was at the gym. He worked at the gym, he volunteered at the gym, he spent like 6 hours a day at the gym working out. Like, this is what he did. He is the kid that couldn't stop moving. This is what he did. And she's like, maybe this is a good thing for you.
What are you running from?
Well, he's her foster kid. Didn't, spend his time in the system, growing up, and she took him in under some kind of hard circumstances, and he's been doing very, very well ever since. And he's in college now, and he's doing great. And but he's really struggling at this sitting still with himself. And she's like, maybe this is good for him. But he's like, this is awful. Like, I can't sit still. And she's like, this is good. You need this. And so that just shows, and I can personally attest to it, when you have all this shit going on in your head in your life, it is very hard to sit with that. And we need it the most.
Yeah. If it's hard, keep at it.
It's
It's going to pay off.
It's very funny because this was just Friday night. She had mentioned this, and this is Sunday, and we're talking about this. So,
But I think just helping people understand why it's hard, that it's not because you suck at meditation.
I'm hoping
you're not trying hard enough.
They're going over this in class. I'm going to check back in with her maybe tomorrow and see if like I said, he's in college, so I don't know how often she's, they're college boys. They're not, checking in with, mom every day. But
I've heard many times, I must not be trying hard enough. It's like, no, you shouldn't have to. A lot of meditation is about letting go.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Giving in.
With folks like us, and when a lot of our issues are control issues, and I will be the first to admit that. And if I didn't, you would be the first to throw me under the bus for that. That's the thing. Sitting down and letting shit go is hard.
You have to relinquish control.
I'm not
in a lot of ways.
No, I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
And a lot of that's usually because you don't feel safe most of the time for some reason.
Yeah.
And to relinquish control, you have to feel safe.
Yeah.
So having to control everything is the compensation for not feeling safe.
Listen.
Because it's fear of uncertainty.
Mental health is a real bitch, okay? But we're working on that.
So it's like one of those things that, I mean, you can't really do it wrong.
Yeah.
If your mind is racing, sometimes I like to meditate. I'll just let my mind wander and go where it will go.
That's trip.
Sometimes. Sometimes I want to focus on certain thing or a visualization or whatever. But yeah, sometimes I just let it wander. Where's my mind going to go?
Oh boy.
Sometimes it leads to insights. Sometimes it's just, what the fuck was that all about?
Okay. Well, I guess I can give it some more of a of the old college try, as they say, and especially like I said, rounding out this last week, I probably should give it more of a go. Not only for my mental health, but for yours.
But I have found it interesting, through my whole experiment with it. I'm definitely going to stick with making it a daily practice.
So you've been doing it for a while. Yeah.
And I've noticed too that like if I don't do it now, I really notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when you really get in the habit of going to the gym and then you can't one day and you're like, it really bothers you.
And that way with coffee.
Or coffee, you know. I just feel like it throws me off when I don't.
That's sad.
And, you know, I usually do a long one in the morning. And then on days that I do coaching during the day, I usually do a quick one before each session, even like a 5 minute, whatever. I find it helpful, but I usually visualize me brushing off all the emotional baggage from the last client, being fresh and clean for the next one. But that's just me.
I can throw you some sage up in here if you want that.
Same idea.
I'll get you there. Don't worry. I got you doing everything else. I'll have you cleansing in no time.
I think it's just a placebo effect. Not that that's a bad thing, but
Mm. You know what? You've been knocking all the other stuff and you're doing that now too. So keep it up. Keep it up. Just make sure you crack the window when you do it. Gotta let that bad negative energy out.
yep.
Yep.
Two, I wanted to mention kind of the spirituality aspect of meditation.
Yes, we did mention that.
You know, it is used in a lot of spiritual practices.
Yes.
You know, like from the extreme is Buddhism is all about meditation and mastery of the mind.
Don't they to reach like nirvana?
Yeah. And as we mentioned, I think prayer is, you know, that connection has been lost in modern society, but I think it was originally a form of meditation.
I mean,
And there's an
that's-
interesting fact that so it's been edited out of the Bible and mistranslated.
no. What?
But the apostle or the book of Thomas, I think, which is no longer in the
I
Bible.
say, who? Yeah.
So what's the verse? I don't remember where it's from. Ask and you shall receive, right?
Yes.
Which is what modern prayer is for most people, is just asking God for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
The original translation of that was more, I can't say it verbatim, but it was more about experiencing the feelings of as if you already had what you wanted.
Manifestation.
Essentially. So a form of meditation where you visualize it like it's already happened.
Ask and you shall receive was Matthew 7:7-11. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find it. Knock and it will be opened for you. For everyone who asks receives, and one who seeks finds it. And the one who knocks, it will be opened.
Yeah.
I wonder
if you go back to
Thomas says.
Aramaic original translation. Anyway, so I think that meaning of
that was
prayer
also King James
has been lost, and you almost have to wonder, was it intentional or was it a mistake? I don't know, because you know the church has morphed into more of a form of control and manipulation than empowerment. But you know, we won't go down that road. What are you looking at?
I'm looking up the Aramaic and stuff and talking about being edited out, the prayer technique edited out of.
What's it say?
I'm looking.
Does it have it in there? I don't remember the word for word, but
the premise is that we can create our futures by imagining what we are feeling. Oh yeah, so this is the prayer technique edited out of John 16:23 and 24. Um, the premise that we can create our futures by imagining what we want with feeling gratitude and the absolute belief that we wanted precisely exists. We need to give ourselves our imagine post end. So basically, yeah, we if
Yeah, it's all about feeling the feelings of if it had already occurred.
all the tones of reality in our imagined experience, it needs to be real and present experience of what we desire already existing. This is what the Bible said in the ancient Aramaic, according to Neil Douglas Klotz.
Mm-hmm.
Prayers of Cosmos. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, basically, imagine what we want with feeling gratitude and the absolute belief of what we
And the
wanted presently
feeling and
exists.
emotion aspect is key, and that's the part that's left out in the modern version of prayer.
Yeah.
So
So,
when I lead people through a visualization meditation to imagine themselves free of pain,
yeah.
what we focus on is how that feels. What emotions does that bring up?
So, yeah, this is the prayer technique edited out of John 16, 23, and 24. So, this is the fourth century church edited out. So, they did that a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, this was a prayer technique.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the original,
Yeah.
as
So,
Jesus taught it.
yeah.
Because Jesus was manifesting shit left and right.
Yeah.
All that, the fishes and
Fishes and
bread that he
loaves.
fed all them
Fishes,
people.
fishes and loaves.
Yeah. Anyway,
I like to use that with the, you know, he was the OG socialist. He took all the fishes and loaves and fed everybody.
yeah. But just from a neuroscience perspective, the feeling aspect
Mhm.
is what really makes the physical changes in the brain, rearranges neurons, sends chemicals into the body, causes physical changes in the body. Not the thought. The thought leads to an experience, which leads to an emotion, which leads to a change.
I I find that very fascinating after finding that. The prayer technique.
Mm-hmm.
If you've basically that I don't know, that's neat.
Well, think of like the whole idea of prayer. Pray for this person to help them.
Yeah. But
That's manifestation.
absolutely. And I've said that from the go.
But they're all
But
doing it wrong.
but I know you're praying wrong. And that's the thing. Like, let's be honest. How many people just put it out there? Please pray. I mean, I don't want to be that person, but how many people like legit
Sit down and
and
have an
really,
emotional experience.
yes, yes. I might sit here and say, okay, I'm going to pray for so and so and Susan and Karen and Edith and whatever. And, whatever. But how many people really like put that manifestation? Because, like I said, that's what it is. But you tell somebody that when you pray, you're manifesting something, you start putting those dirty witchy words on that shit and you're going to freak them the fuck out.
That's why it's hard not to imagine that it was intentionally edited in that way.
Well,
Take the power away from the
what
people.
what was happening in the fourth century that we're pulling that stuff out?
Constantine's the one who
Ooh,
had all that edited.
exactly.
Anyway.
I digress.
But yeah, there is a whole spirituality aspect. And it's not that meditation is a spiritual practice. It's that
And if that's how you want to use it, go
it's
for
it's
it.
a tool that can be used to achieve spirituality.
Sure. Or if you just need it at the end of the day to chill your ass out, go for it. Because guess what? I do. Or if you need it to get to your next client. Because guess what was it? Thursday. I had to go out front and I had to sit on the little bench out front of the salon because I was getting me a little overwhelmed. And I had to sit out there and breathe for a minute. One of the girls goes, I said, I'm going outside. She goes, Are you hot? And I'm like, Yeah, sure. I just had to go out there and get away. Because sometimes you just got to go sit and you got to breathe.
Yep. And as far as some guidance on how to kind of get into this, and especially if you find it difficult,
Yes.
um, A big one is don't expect to sit down and meditate for an hour on your first go.
Oh God, no.
This is not going to happen. Start with 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah. Get an app.
And yeah, that was my next
For real.
point was a guided meditation is going to be much easier to stay focused
I use it every day.
than just sitting
can't.
and trying to do it yourself.
I don't do it by myself. I have to have a guided meditation or I'll be like squirrel and I'm out. I can't do it by myself. I find it very relaxing to listen to someone
Yeah.
with a nice soothing voice. That's why I'm real mad about that app charging me, because that dude, like I said, I could listen to him read off my grocery list. He was very comforting. I'm real mad about. He actually, I think, used to be a monk, and I don't know. He sounded pretty, but he was
I've also heard some that the voice is like, oh my gosh, I can't listen to this.
really. I don't know. There was you can and the timer one that you have, you can choose like a man or a woman on that one too. But the one on, I think it was Mindful. Oh my gosh, he did. He had the most beautiful voice, but he was a monk for like years and did all sorts of stuff. And oh my God, he was just so relaxing. And I opened that thing back up and everything's all paid for. And I was, but he had the sleepy time one. And, but I have to have a guided one. Have to. And there's different ones. Like I said, there's the breath one, or there's the one where like you relax the parts of your body, like where you're conscious of, because that helps you realize where you're holding your tension.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I like is like, oh God, my neck is like, I am so tense right now on my shoulders. And you're like, you just release it.
Focusing on any somatic sensation is soothing to the nervous system.
Yeah. Like you start relaxing in your hands and your neck. And next thing you know, you're just melting your bed and you're good.
So yeah, start small.
Yes.
Don't expect to sit there for an hour on your first go.
I ain't got that time.
You'll be disappointed. Guided meditations are great. There's tons of free stuff out there.
Yep. Meditation timer. Was that app?
Insight timer.
Insight timer.
Yeah.
Go through your little
there's
things.
A bunch out there. That's not the only one by any means.
And that one has a lot of stuff in it though.
And two, don't expect any specific outcome or result.
No.
I mean, just if you can sit down and relax, you're doing it. Like, don't expect to reach some state of nirvana.
You might not be glowing after 2 sessions, like it's just.
And experiment, try different things. I know for me, like I'll try something for a few days until I get bored of it, and then it's off to the next thing. And that's what keeps you interested. That's what keeps you at it. I've got a few go-to things that I do regularly, but what?
That's your Sagittarius rising. You're getting bored.
Oh, we're going to pull horoscopes into this now?
I am.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What else would I suggest? Oh, meditation isn't necessarily like sitting cross-legged on the floor.
I like to lay down.
Like I know myself, sitting on the floor is horribly uncomfortable. You can sit in a chair, you can sit on the couch, you can stand, you can lie down. It doesn't really matter.
I've got that little meditation pillow. If you do like to sit on the floor, that thing's comfortable.
So this cliche image of being, having your legs tied in a knot on the hard floor.
No.
You don't have to do that. Or this ridiculous shit I see all the time. Someone's perched on a rock somewhere.
with the sunset in the background, and
no one meditates that way.
Just be comfortable. Find something that's comfortable for you. Like I said, that's why I like to lay down, because you can get in a comfortable position. Because if you're uncomfortable, you're going to be thinking about, oh my God, my back hurts the whole time. You're not going to, you're going to be focusing on that.
And two, I hear a lot of times people will say, like, I can't meditate because I always fall asleep. It's like, well, you're extremely good at meditation because you got so relaxed you fell asleep.
Well, and that's why I like to do it before bed because it helps me turn the brain down enough to. And then sometimes I wake up and I forget my earbuds in because I'll put my earbud in because you're laying next to me and I'll wake up and it's like shit and I got to pull that out. And
So a couple things with that, I would, first look at, are you getting enough sleep? But also, it's not a bad thing that you got so relaxed you fell asleep. It's kind of the intention of meditation is to relax.
Mhm.
So
I can sleep about any time, but
right. But you might also want to look at like the position you're in. If you're lying down and you're falling asleep, maybe you would try sitting
yeah.
instead. A little less easy to fall asleep in a different position, maybe. Um, but yeah, not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. But yeah, just give it a go. I mean, what's it gonna hurt? You'll be out 10 minutes. It's not like you have to go buy a bunch of equipment and do this and do that and set up a home gym to do the thing.
You probably spend more time that scrolling on your phone during the day, right?
Oh, so much.
Doing nothing of importance.
So much more. But that's your homework. Try to meditate a few minutes a day for the week. I did it.
Are you going to keep doing it?
It does help before bed. I do like putting that on and calming down.
I tried that astral projection stuff.
Yeah.
I don't sleep well after that.
I used to play with that when I was a teenager. Yeah. Huh.
It was interesting.
Leaving your body and end up on another plane somewhere. That's a different podcast. You won't let me get into that kind of stuff.
I also might have had
Oh, for God's sake.
chemical assistance. But
That's another show.
we did that podcast already.
Yeah. That episode. Good Lord.
What else did I miss?
I can't
Anything?
take you anywhere. No, I think we got a lot of it.
You look at my notes here. I kind of shot this one from the hip today.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
He can ramble all day.
I think we got it all. Most of it. But yeah, I think generally meditation is an extremely powerful tool. I think, again, you look at any of the ancient esoteric teachings, meditation is at the core.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we, in many ways, have lost the understanding of the power of meditation. And I look at meditation as a technology that we lost much of the understanding of it.
Well, and look how meditation, quote unquote, has been changed as far as prayer. They've changed it and warped it and removed it, and it's lost its effectiveness or the ideal of it.
Our minds are freaking powerful.
Don't forget that Dura Mater. It's tough. It's my favorite.
All right. I think that wraps it up. We went way over on this last segment since we ended the last one early.
Hey,
So yeah, send us emails.
Since nobody seems to follow directions.
Esoteric Wellness Podcast at gmail.com.
Suggestions are good.
We want to hear your comments. We want to hear your opinions, your suggestions. Maybe even your complaints. I don't know why anyone would do that, but send us those too.
Any future topics, anything like that. Yeah. Whatever you have to say. We want to hear it.
What else? I think.
Like, subscribe, share.
What's our
review.
next topic going to be? I have no
I
idea.
don't know. What should we do? I don't know. I suggest weird things and you tell me that that doesn't fit in. But, well, we're getting into the holidays. Is there anything that we could do that's holiday related as far as wellness? Maybe how to avoid burnout, or oh, I'm getting excited. I'm starting to like stutter. Weird holiday like rituals, or no, that doesn't work. See,
Not really
this is the thing.
wellness related,
I don't
is it?
care. God. Maybe how to avoid.
Could have done a whole episode on origins of Halloween, but that has nothing to do with what we do here.
Samhain, not Sam Hain. My God, please don't be that guy.
Talking older than that, but yeah.
Oh, for God's sake. Well, let's see. I don't know. We'll see. The holidays are coming up. We should find something how to incorporate the holidays. Maybe how not to avoid the
How
holiday.
Santa Claus is a representation of a mushroom.
Sweet Jesus. Stop it.
What?
I cannot with you. Santa Claus is a representation of a mushroom.
Amanita muscaria. They're red and white. They grow in Siberia.
Wasn't he a Germanic thing? Oh, for God's sake. Well, you know what conversation is going to happen when we close this out? Oh my God. Maybe something to do with holiday health and avoiding burnout and how you can, I don't know. We'll figure something out. See, this is why we need your guys' suggestions. We'll figure it out. Anyway.
All right, I'm going to bed.
I'm going to go watch TV.
Thanks everyone for listening. If you stuck with us so far to episode 5, we very much appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Like I said, send us a message, share us on social media, spread the word, get our name out there.
There won't be as big of a gap next time, I promise, because
elections will be over here very soon.
Hopefully I will have a good announcement next time. If not, I might just cry a little and do our podcast and it'll be fine.
I'll have to address you as councilwoman next time, maybe.
Yes, you will. Madam Councilwoman. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care, everybody. Be well. Be safe. We'll see you next time.
Vote for Megan.
Vote for Megan.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.